Architecture CodeX. If you want to see more, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe.
The Penn State campus in Happy Valley is a sprawling, varied landscape, with some areas being low-scale village streets and others having massive collegiate buildings, including a football stadium, naturally, and a creamery for authentic Penn State ice cream. Try the Peachy Paterno. The ice cream is produced by the cows that are on the working farm adjacent to the campus for the College of Agriculture. While the smaller buildings have a colonial Georgian feel overall, there is no single campus style, which allows for this, the Lewis Katz Penn State Law Building, which looks like a giant sandworm on the planet Arrakis. Come, law students, ride the she-who-lewd. Perhaps less dramatic, but also on the campus, is the Stuckeman Family Building for the Penn State School of Architecture. This 110,000 square foot building, completed in 2004, was one of the first college buildings in the country and the first Penn State building to achieve LEED Gold Certified status. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, and it is a means to quantify how sustainable or green a building might be. It was started in 1993. And when I became a LEED accredited professional in 2003, it was because I liked the way they leveraged real-world technology to promote better environmental stewardship through reducing energy consumption, healthier interiors for people, and reducing waste through recycling. The process is somewhat bureaucratic, and it forces architects and engineers to become accountants, chasing every last piece of data to get another LEED point. To get certified, a building needs to acquire 40 LEED points. Silver certification requires 50 points, and gold certification requires 60 points. 80 or more points, and you get platinum LEED certification. Points are awarded across various categories with vague names such as location and transportation, sustainable sites, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, and indoor environmental quality. The system has evolved over time, which makes sense because what was once cutting-edge technology suddenly becomes standard practice. Looking at the Stuckeman building, it is apparent how they got some of their points. The site is located within a certain distance, near 2 or more bus lines. That's a point. They provided a bicycle rack and a shower inside. That's a point. Both of these promote commuting by means other than a car, which actually is easier on a college campus than in the commercial world, but you get the idea. At Penn State, the students tell me the shower gets more use when students pull all-nighters than by commuting bicyclists. So be it. This is where some people would argue that the bicycle and shower point is just too easy, especially when you compare it with the single point you would get if you redesigned the electrical lighting load to be 15% lower than the standard electrical lighting load. But you're sort of missing the point there in that go for the easy points first and accumulate them and then go work on the harder points. A lot of people think that sustainability can be stuck onto an existing building, and it can't. The truth is it has to be there as part of the initial design process. And the LEED system is very good at reflecting this in that a lot of the easy points are things that come early on in the design process, such as orientation to the sun, natural shading, or landscapes that require no sprinkler system. Other points that the building got include the category of materials and resource. The use of 30 tons of recycled copper sheathing covering 49,000 square feet of the facade is one example. Likewise, the structural steel was 94% recycled. By recycling materials, you reduce the impact of extraction and smelting, plus you keep materials out of the junkyard. All of the wood is sustainably sourced, which basically means the lumbering company plants trees whenever they cut trees. All that is good. 80% of the construction waste was recycled, and construction waste is a significant part of our landfills.
So by simply having separate dumpsters for cardboard, scrap metals, etc., you can reduce the environmental impact. 87% of the building was sourced from locations within 500 miles of the site, and this means less energy was used to transport the materials to the construction location. You can see how complicated this all gets. If you use bamboo wood for your wood floors, for example, you would increase your possibility of having more sustainable wood. On the other hand, it would reduce the amount of materials in the building that are sourced within 500 miles of the construction site. Every decision becomes a trade-off. But the process is very good at making you mentally aware that the impact that materials and methods will have on the environment. Terms and ideas can get bombastic, like daylight harvesting. It means shutting off the lights when the sun is out and illuminating the room. It can save a lot of energy as lighting is a significant portion of any office building. But my dad could have told you that decades ago as he went around our house turning off all the lights. LEEDs like such systems to be automatic, as you cannot count on every building having a designated dad to go around reducing electrical costs. In the category of indoor environmental quality, or is it energy and atmosphere, you can get points for natural ventilation. This can be done using fans that run without heat or air conditioning. This is known as an economizer cycle, and frankly, they've been around for at least 40 years. You can also use windows that operate. At Stuckeman, there's an array of windows that can be remotely opened or closed to leverage moderate air temperatures, and because it's centrally controlled, it's part of the whole building energy profile, and they get a point for that. Another point can be obtained by having local environmental control. At Stuckeman, you can see that there are raised floors in all the studios. This not only allows for wiring to be put underneath, but also allows for airflow. And you can see the discs on the raised floor that allow a person to open it or close it, so they can get either more or less of the hot air or the cold air that is being circulated throughout the building. But frankly, I don't know if the students are aware of this. And when I asked some international students what they thought of the building, they complained that in the wintertime the building was kept too cold, as they like to walk around in t-shirts and other light clothing. And this is where I got very paternalistic and said, for the sake of the energy costs, why don't you wear a sweater or something? The building was designed by the architectural team of WTW, LaQuantra Bonsi, and Overland Partners, with substantial input from Penn State architecture and landscape architecture faculty. And aside from that one complaint about the building temperature, students and faculty were mostly pleased. Aesthetically, the building is modern in the sense that it is what it needs to be to accommodate the functions of an architecture school. There is a sufficiently varied palette of materials, colors, and form, so the building is never dull. And the design leverages the traditional open studio on the perimeter with common open areas in the middle. Since all the studios are open, sound travels throughout the building, but these days most students have their own earbuds or headphones. So the traditional arguments about what music tape to play on the boombox in studio isn't a problem. And in my day, it was a big source of conflict, especially when we tried to impose the no disco rule. In the first 7,000 years of Western human history, three distinct design aesthetics emerged. The Greco-Roman, inspired by nature, the Gothic, inspired by divine revelation, and the modern, inspired by rational thought. Each of those design revolutions occurred because of a concurrent change in the technology. Today, architecture is looking for the next design influence, as the contemporary starchitect who designs for their personal ego may prove empty and wasteful. Sustainability may be that next architectural influence to last for 1,000 years. It will eventually create an aesthetic that is yet to be imagined. That aesthetic must respond to the immutable forces of the sun, the earthly biome, and our ability to develop technologies to make the best use of our resources. The Stuckeman Family Architecture Building at Penn State may not be the future, but it might just be a step towards it. I'm Michael Molinelli, and this is Architecture CodeX.